Hi everyone, it's Ian here from Crack Maths. Welcome to tutorial 21, and this is on how to add and subtract decimals without using a calculator. So in order to do this, we're going to use the column method for both. Actually, for the adding and the subtracting, we're going to use the column method. So if you need to brush up on the column method, there is a tutorial earlier on adding and subtracting numbers without a calculator. I would suggest just having a go at that. In this tutorial, we're going to kind of assume that you know that. So we're going to move a little bit faster, but we're just going to go over it again with decimals. So let's have a look at our first question, which is add 3.25 to 2.78. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these numbers up, making sure that the decimal place is in the same position. So I'm going to put 3.25 on the top, and then underneath that, I'm going to put 2.78. So the units are the key one that we need to focus on. The units are what needs to be aligned. So I need to have the unit above the unit. I need to have the first decimal above the first decimal and the second decimal above the second decimal. And then what we can do is we can add as we were before. So let's first of all look at the 5 add the 8. So the 5 add the 8 gives us 13. So we write the units down below in this column and we carry that extra 10 that we got. And then we add this to the 2 and the 7. So 2 add 7 and add the 1 that we carried. So that's going to give us 10. So we've got another 1 to carry. And now that we're looking at 3 and 2 and the 1 that we've carried, so 5 add 1 is 6. And so I write the 6 here. And so I can see that the answer to this question is 6.03. And this makes sense because if I think about 3.25, 3.25 is roughly 3. If I think about 2.78, 2.78 is roughly 3. 3 add 3 is 6. Often in the functional skills papers, they will ask you to use estimates to check your answer for these sorts of things. And it's a good practice just to kind of look at what you've done and think, does this make sense? And so 3 add 3 equaling 6 would make sense. So therefore, 3.25 adding 2.78 equaling 6.03, it makes sense as well. It sounds like an appropriate answer. Okay, let's try one more addition and then we'll look at a subtraction. So let's look at this next one, which is 6.7 plus 9.84. Now, in order to add these, what I'm first of all going to do is I'm going to write my 6.7 down, but I'm going to put a 0 after this 7 just so that I've got the same number of decimal places in both of the numbers, okay? And that just makes it easier because it makes it just more straightforward to keep them aligned when we write them down. Because remember, we want to write down the units with the units, the first decimal with the first decimal, and the second decimal with the second decimal. So let's write that down there. So we have 6.70 plus 9.84. Okay, so first of all, we've got 0 add 4. Nice and easy. 0 add 4 is 4. Next, we've got 7 add 8. 7 add 8 is 15. So I'm going to put a 5 here, and I'm going to carry a 1. And then we've got 6 add 9 add 1. So 6 add 9 add 1 is going to give us 16. So I'm going to put the 6 here, carry the 1. There's nothing to add to the 1, so I'm just going to add the 1 there. So we've got the answer, 16.54. And let's have a think about if that makes sense. 6.7 is roughly 7. 9.84 is roughly 10. 7 add 10 is 17. 16.54 is just a little bit lower than 17. And that makes sense because we rounded both of those up. So I would say that is a good answer. So that's a very good way of checking what you've done. If you need to spend some time looking at this method again, just pause the video here, look at what's on the page and try to think about it that way. If not, continue on here and we're going to look at some subtraction questions. So here we go. We've got our first subtraction question, which is 4.23 take away 1.56. They've both got the same number of decimals, so we don't have to worry too much about that. We can just write one number on top of the other, but still make sure that you're lining up your units, lining up your first decimal, lining up your second decimal. So here we go. We've got the 4 above the 1, the 2 above the 5, and the 3 above the 6. Right, first of all, we're looking at 3 take away 6. Now, remember, if you can't do it, you have to consider the number on the top one before. So really, we're looking at here, if we've got 3 take away 6, we can't do it. So we've got to look at this 2. And remember that 2 makes that 3 like a 23. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 23, I'm going to split it, and I'm going to split it into 13 and 10. So I'm going to leave 1 in the column where the 2 is, and I'm going to move 13 into the column where the 3 is. So we're going to have 13 take away 6 now. So 13 take away 6 is 7. So I'm going to write that down. And now we've got 1 take away 5. 1 take away 5 we can't do, so we've got to think about the number over from that. So we're going to think about that as being 41 now. So 41 take away 5. But actually, let's split that and think about it as 11 take away 5 and leave a 3 there. So that's like 30. So 11 take away 5 is 6. So I'm going to write that down. And now we're left with 3 left over from before and 3 take away 1. So 3 take away 1 is 2. So our final answer to this question is 2.67. Now let's have a think. 4.23 is roughly 4. 1.56 is roughly 2. 4 take away 2 is 2. That answer makes sense. Perfect. Right, let's try one more and then we'll look at a scenario question. So here we go. We've got this time 10.5 take away 5.32. Right, so 10.5 take away 5.32. We're going to have to add a 0 to that 5 so that we've got 10.50. Okay, that just makes it easier. So 10.50 take away 5.32. Let's write it down. Remember, match up the units for units, the first decimal for first decimal, the second decimal for second decimal, and see how that goes. So now we've got 0 take away 2. 0 take away 2 cannot be done. So we borrow 1 and that becomes a 10 and that 5 becomes a 4. So 10 take away 2 is 8. Great. Now we've got 4 take away 3, which we can do, which is 1. Put in the decimal. And then we've got 0 take away 5. Can't be done. Let's just think about that number as the 10. 10 take away the 5 is 5. So there we go. Our answer is 5.18. Now let's have a think if that makes sense. So 10.5 is roughly 10 or roughly 11. 5.32 is roughly 5. So let's say 10 take away 5 is 5. The answer's 5. That answer makes sense. Okay, great. Right, now let's have a go at some scenario questions. Okay, so here is the first question. It says a store had 5.75 kilograms of apples and received a shipment of 3.25 kilograms of apples. How many kilograms of apples does the store now have? So this is nice and easy, very nice easy numbers. Also, they've both got the same number of decimal places, so we can just simply write this down straight away. We're going to have 5.75 plus 3.25. So we're going to have 5 add 5 makes 10. Now we're going to have 7 add 2, add the 1 makes 10 as well. So we've got 0, 0 here, then point, we're carrying that 1. And now we've got 5 add 3 add 1, which will make 9. So therefore, they had 9 kilograms of apples. Does that make sense? 5.75 is roughly 6. 3.25 is roughly 3. 6 add 3 is 9. Okay, wonderful. Right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to leave you to practice and I'm going to say goodbye. So good luck. Remember, it's tutorial 21 on Crack Maths, everything you need to know. Lots of questions. There's answers at the end, so you can check if you're getting it correct. And best wishes. I will see you soon. Bye.